on Christmas Eve, something passed me by without me really noticing. Something escaped my attention. I was otherwise engaged. I was wrapping presents or getting a mince pie ready for Father Christmas or a carrot ready for Rudolph to entice him down the chimney. And actually, you do not want a reindeer stuck in your chimney. Just Father Christmas. So anyway, whilst I was doing that, there was a news story about Sebastien Haller which sort of passed me by. But in many respects, it's been the biggest news of the last few days. And there it was, a little footnote which disappeared. Everyone got on with their Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and whatnot. I thought, oh, hold on, this is really interesting. And it's about Sebastien Haller going back to Germany. Now, this is not something that I find at all surprising. As you know, if you watch his channel, I didn't think he was going to... I always said he won't be here next season. He can't be. How can he be? It's just not working out for him. It's not working out for him. It's not working out for us. You know, we're, in many respects, West Ham are the big losers in all of this. I also think that Sebastien Haller is a big loser in this. Not financially. He's gained massively financially. But when we signed Olivier Giroud, I remember watching an interview and he had big designs set on getting into that France team, or at least the France squad. That's something. That they've got two really world-class teams, France have. So just getting into that squad is something. But I think he was looking at Olivier Giroud. He was thinking, this bloke is going to be retiring soon. I'm going to take that guy's place. And it's not really happened. I think he thought he was going to take the Premier League by storm. It was obviously a Pellegrini signing. Pellegrini, we know this from Felipe Anderson, because Felipe Anderson has revealed that he was told by Pellegrini that the team was going to be built around him and would play, you know, ultra attacking, fast football and this, that, and the other. And you can only assume that when we signed Sebastien Haller, that Pellegrini had said a similar thing to him. He probably said, you know, whatever, we're going to build the team around you. We're going to make it for you just like we did at Frankfurt. You're going to get loads of service. We're going to get you into... You'll be playing so well in the Premier League. You'll be up there contesting it with the best strikers in the Premier League. We'll get you into the France squad. This is the sort of thing that managers say, and I wouldn't blame them for saying it. It's just a sales pitch. You want to try and sell your club to them. You want to sell the concept of joining your club to that player to get the deal over the line. Totally understand that. But it's sort of changed. It's changed so much, and just by the fact that Sebastien Haller has gone and played for the Ivory Coast probably tells you quite how much his dream has faded. That's no disrespect to the Ivory Coast, by the way, which is the country of his mother's birth. However, it wasn't what he was talking about when I was watching videos before he came to West Ham. He was talking about France. It was all France. He wanted to get in the France squad and this, that, and the other. So he pretty much had to move in and lower his expectations. Again, no disrespect, but, you know, playing for Ivory Coast ain't as good as playing for France, because France is going to win championships, you'd imagine. They're going to win titles and stuff like that, whereas obviously Ivory Coast are probably not going to. So that's how much his status has fallen. So it hasn't worked out for him either. But the article I'm going to tell you now, it basically goes on to say that there's been interest from 3 or 4 Bundesliga outfits in the last few weeks. And as I understand it, Schalke are one of them. They want him back, so they've approached West Ham, and this has been, I say confirmed as you get it from the club, but certainly we've been informed by the club that this is the case. It's also been, an agent has also confirmed this as well, that clubs are interested. Have come to West Ham and turned around and said, it's not working out for Sebastien Haller. Any chance we can get him? Now, some of those clubs have wanted to get him on loan now. But this upcoming window, the window that starts in a couple of days. Again, not something that is completely surprising. But Sebastien Haller himself has said he doesn't want to go on loan now, which I think is really interesting. So as I understand it, he had 3 loan offers to go back to Germany now. He doesn't want to, but he's open to moving on a permanent deal in the summer. I'll leave that to you to decide. But it might not even, to decide why that's happening. I don't know. It may not even be football reasons. It may be the fact that actually logistically, with the world the way it is, with coronavirus, with travel, with everything else, it possibly ain't a great time to move house from one foreign country to another. at the moment. Maybe he feels it's an easier thing to do in the summer. Maybe he doesn't want to particularly deal with the upheaval in the middle of a window. Because the middle of the window, the season hasn't stopped. At least in the summer, you've got whatever, 6, 7, 8 weeks off, whatever it might be. There's more time available for you to do the move and just do all those normal things and switch kids' schools and stuff like that you don't necessarily think about when you think about footballers. Maybe it's that. But apparently he's open to it. And as I understand it, we have a couple of, agreements. As we see with the Benrahma transfer and the option to buy and this, that and the other, you never really got an agreement until you've signed on the dotted line. But as close as you can get to having an agreement, the understanding is that we would expect to get £25 million for him. Now, on the face of it, that ain't great. That's not great. What did we spend? We spent 42 on him or something like that. And this is the point. We haven't spent 42 on him. I'll get to that in a second. That ain't great. That's an asset that's depreciated immeasurably. Well, not immeasurably. You can measure it, but you know what I mean. It's depreciated. It ain't good. However, at some point you've got to cut your losses because he's not providing for us what we need him to provide, and you've got to change what you expected him to do when Pellegrini was here and what we need him to do now. He's probably not being asked to do now what he was asked to do when he signed on the dotted line. So, he's a bit of a victim in all of this as well. However, and here's the point on this. If you're going to ask David Moyes and put yourself in David Moyes' position just for this bit. You're David Moyes, you have a striker who doesn't particularly suit your system. You didn't pay 40 odd million for him. So he's just a player to you. You understand that he's an asset for the club. But if someone is saying to you, David, you can either have Sebastien Haller in your squad or we'll give you 25 million quid for a striker of your choosing. And bearing in mind, he's probably got little bits and pieces, 3 or 4 million here from other sales, a jetty or whatever the case may be. And if you're thinking, well, actually, if I put my money to that, I've got £30 million to spend on a striker, or I can have this striker who doesn't fit my system. You're only going to make one choice as David Moyes. You're going to say, actually, I'll take the money and I'll buy somebody that I believe suits my system and suits my philosophy. That's an easy decision to make for David Moyes. It just goes on to say in the article that basically what I said, the January deal is no interest to Sebastien Haller. But the club are also not particularly interested in doing a loan move. And I think the reason we're not is because we're safe in the league. And I think what this being safe in the league is, even though David Moyes has not signed a new contract now, I think it also indicates that he is going to sign one. Where actually I think David Moyes would probably, given the choice, get rid of Sebastien Haller on loan now. Sell Sebastien Haller now and get the player in now. But if it's a case of, David, do you want to keep him for the rest of the season? Then we'll send you can have your striker. He's probably thinking, yeah, okay, fair enough. We don't have to go through all that upheaval alone. We're probably safe. Well, we are safe. The club are thinking we're safe. And we go again and we improve next season, which is sort of ties in with the comments that Moyes has said anyway, isn't it? Which is going to take a few transfer windows to get the team to where I want it to be. And I don't blame him for that at all, by the way. And he's probably thinking, well, actually, with what I've got, Miguel Antonio intermittently playing when he's fit, Sebastien Haller as the backup striker, I'll go with that. That can work from now until the end of the season. And you never know. I guess, Sebastien Haller could, go on a scoring streak or whatever and earn us a little bit more money. But I think 25 million, in many respects, we've got to bite their hand off. I think we had an opportunity to sell Felipe Anderson at one point. What did we buy him for? 37, and we had an opportunity to sell him for 25. We probably should have bitten their hand off now because I don't think we get 15 from him now, such as his fall from grace, so to speak. In terms of the money with Sebastien Haller, then you're looking at, it would have been 42 million had he have got us into European competition, had he have scored X amount of goals. They're all targets that within a transfer a transfer fee that basically have to be hit, these targets. Those targets ain't going to be hit, so it ain't going to be 42 million. So I do think it is more like 36, 37 million. And as I understand, the club are looking at a £12 million loss on him, which actually, given the scheme of things, if they can, ain't too bad. The point of the matter is, and a really important factor, is that his stock is still high in Germany, because that's really important for a buying club's point of view. A buying club has to think the buying club can't feel that they're buying a broken asset or anything like that. The buying club, and if we go with Schalke, for instance, have to feel, if I put this striker into my team, he fits perfectly into my team and he'll be one of the best players in the Bundesliga. That's what they're looking at. So I think it's really important that they still see that in Haller. So actually these fleeting glimpses of brilliance that we see, like the overhead kick, are actually very important, because they remind those clubs that there's still a player in there. They remind those clubs that actually Sebastien has not broken. We're not talking about someone who's had a bad injury or anything like that. You've got to have a certain cockiness about you, I guess, as a manager, because you've got to think you're better than other managers. Surely that would only be right. So surely the other managers are looking at David Moyes and thinking, you're not playing him right, we can do a better job than you, we can get a tune out of him. They'll probably feel they're getting a bargain as well, because they're getting a 35, 40 million pound player, as they see it, for 25 million quid. We see it as an opportunity to sort of mitigate some of our losses, get some of the money back. And David Moyes is probably seeing it as win-win all the way around, because he'll get more money to spend on a striker than he's ever spent in his career on a striker, I think. I'd have to go and check that out, but I'm pretty sure. I think the two big signings at Man U were Juan Mata and Fellaini. Don't think he spent massively on a striker. Certainly don't remember him spending massive money and anything like that on a striker at Everton. So, for him to have 25, 30 million pound to go out and spend, it's absolutely win-win for him. And I know obviously there'll be people going through all this, because Sebastien Haller always does have his supporters when I do these videos, and rightly so. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's something I just recorded the preview with Gio for the Brighton game tomorrow, and Gio was talking about, in some games we press from the front line, and he made a really, really good point. And as soon as he said it, I thought about Sebastien Haller, because when we do press from the front, it is quite an important part of our game. And there are often comments after Sebastien Haller has played, and people say, "Oh, I saw him running to try and close down a player." I don't think Haller's lazy. I think the way he walks and the way he sort of runs sometimes can have a lazy look about him. I don't think he's lazy. I think he wants to work hard. But there's a difference between running to close down a player and making the effort and doing what you're asked to do. That's very different to running and closing down a player and being effective at it. And being quick enough, not only to close down a player, but nick the ball off of them. That's the idea of the press, is either to nick the ball off of them or hurry them to make a rash decision, say give it to somebody else. Sebastien Haller can run towards a defender, but he's never going to hurry him, because he's not quick enough. A defender will look up and think, I've got 3 or 4 seconds until he gets there. Shall I pass it back to the keeper, to who fit, to the left wing back, to the right wing back, have a look around, he'll do his stuff. It's not about effort, it's not about endeavour, it's not about laziness, it's about being effective. And if the system that David Moyes wants to employ, and this is just another facet to it, by the way, I always make the point about the counter-attack, which Haller's no use to the counter-attack if he doesn't have fast wingers beside him, right next to him. And do you know what? He doesn't have fast wingers beside him. And bearing in mind, that hasn't happened, then the striker's got to be quick. Someone's got to be rapid over that front line, right? But I'm not just talking about that. It's the system of being quick to close players down. And if David Moyes is looking and thinking, to make my system work, both defensively and from an attacking perspective, I need the player to be fast, then it's just another reason for him to go. I'm sorry it's not worked out. I genuinely am. Genuinely sorry. I reckon I was excited as anybody. I made a list when we were looking for a new striker. I didn't fancy that Maxi Gomez, got to be honest. The irony is I didn't fancy that Maxi Gomez because I thought he looked a little bit too slow. If the truth be known, I didn't quite realise how slow Sebastien Haller was. I'd looked at some footage. I'd looked at him in that. I've seen him Frankfurt play a couple of times actually, and just looked at him in that formation with the three amigos or whatever you want to call them up front, and they looked good. They just I don't know. Anyway, I fancied Joseph. I remember I fancied Joseph Paulsen from. was it Leipzig, something like that, and Sebastien Haller, and there was a couple of others on the list whose names escape me now. But I wanted Haller to come in. I was excited when we signed him. I was excited for us to be showing ambition enough to break our transfer record, which I always like to see. Actually, it just shows ambition for the club. I didn't want him to fail, but I do think it's been a failure as a signing. For it not to be a failure as a signing, he's going to have to start scoring goals regularly now and being a threat. And I just don't see it happening. It doesn't mean he's going to score no goals. Doesn't mean when ever in tomorrow's game or a game in 3 weeks' time, he pops up and scores a goal and I've changed my opinion. No, I just don't feel he suits the system. But I do feel there are a number of players that probably don't suit the system in our squad at the moment, which is why I think David Moyes is going to make big changes over time. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Sebastien Haller. Just really quickly, everybody that left messages yesterday in the Christmas Day video, thank you. So many nice messages, Christmas wishes, and and just really, I read through them all. Well, I'd done at least up until about 3 hours ago anyway. So really, thank you very much for that. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas. Mean it sincerely. Right, onwards and upwards. I'm going to get this video uploaded now, get it out there, and we're going to see you tomorrow at, I'll see you, 1:10. Myself and Gio for the build-up show against Brighton. Then we're on, what are we on? Yeah, so kick-offs at 2:15 on Sky Sports. We'll be here at about 1:10 to reveal the lineups. Anyway, there you go. I'll see you soon.